The medical bay of the celestial horizon hummed with the quiet efficiency of machines keeping vigil over the sleeping. Dr. Chen stood at the observation window, reviewing Mira Solis's charts for what felt like the thousandth time. 6 months. 6 months since the accident on Cathera Prime. And still no change. Any improvement? Captain Reeves asked, stepping beside him. Chen shook his head. Her vitals are stable, but neurologically, it's like she's somewhere far away. What neither of them knew was that Mira Solis was indeed somewhere far away, trapped in memories that played like fragmented dreams. The forest, the purple leaves of Cathara's ancient trees, the small, terrified creature caught in the energy net of poachers. 6 months earlier, Mira had been part of a xenobiological survey team. Cathera Prime was a protected world, home to the Keth, a species that walked upright like bears, but possessed intelligence that rivaled humanity's finest minds. The Keth were warriors, philosophers, and fiercely protective of their young. Mira had wandered from base camp, drawn by strange sounds echoing through the violet forest. That's when she found him, a Keth cub, barely a meter tall, his silver-streaked fur matted with blood. Poachers had set illegal traps throughout the preserve, and this one had caught something precious. The cub's golden eyes met hers, filled with pain and fear. Mira didn't hesitate. She'd spent 20 minutes dismantling the energy net, ignoring the warnings from her communicator. The net's discharge had been catastrophic when she finally freed him. It threw her backward into a tree, her head striking the trunk with a sickening crack. The last thing she remembered was the cub limping toward her, making soft chirping sounds before darkness claimed her. Ravkun stood at the observation window now, a towering figure nearly 3 meters tall. His silver-streaked fur had grown thick and lustrous, marking him as one of the Keth's promising warriors. But his eyes, those same golden eyes, held something the other Keth rarely showed: tenderness. "The human female still sleeps?" asked Elder Thraka, approaching with the weight of authority. "Yes, Elder," Ravkun replied, his voice a deep rumble. 6 of your months. The human doctors say they've done all they can." Thraka placed a massive paw on Ravkun's shoulder. "You understand that gratitude, while honorable, cannot change fate. She may never wake." "She will," Ravkun insisted. "She risked her life for mine. The humans possess something we've only begun to understand, a stubborn refusal to accept the impossible." The elder's eyes crinkled with something like amusement. "You've studied them well." "I've studied her," Ravkun corrected. "I've read every report, every log entry. Mira Solis grew up in the asteroid colonies where survival was uncertain. She became a xenobiologist because she believed every life had value. When others saw danger, she saw something worth saving." He turned back to the window. "That kind of spirit doesn't surrender easily." Inside the medical bay, something was changing. Mira's fingers twitched. Dr. Chen's instruments began registering activity they hadn't seen in months. Synaptic patterns that had been flat were suddenly firing in cascading sequences. "Captain!" Chen shouted. "She's responding!" Within minutes, the room filled with medical personnel. But at the window, Ravkun pressed his paw against the glass, and something passed between them, something that transcended species and understanding. Mira's eyes opened. The light was blinding at first. Voices swirled around her, speaking in urgent medical jargon. But through it all, she felt something else, a presence, a familiar warmth that pulled at memories buried deep. "The cub," she whispered, her voice hoarse from disuse. Dr. Chen leaned closer. "Mira, can you hear me? You're safe. You're aboard the celestial horizon." "The cub," she repeated, more insistent. "The Keth cub. Did he survive?" Captain Reeves exchanged glances with Chen before nodding. "He survived. More than that, he's here. He's been here every day since we brought you aboard." Tears welled in Mira's eyes. "I need to see him." "You need rest." "I need to see him," Mira insisted, and there was something in her voice, that stubborn human determination, that made argument impossible. They brought her to the observation lounge in a wheelchair, her body still weak but her spirit burning bright. And there he was. Ravkun stood when she entered, and Mira's breath caught. The tiny wounded cub had become a magnificent warrior, but when their eyes met, she saw him. truly saw him, and he was both changed and unchanged. Mira Solis, Ravkun said, dropping to one knee so they could be at eye level. You returned to us. You grew, Mira said, laughter mixing with tears. You grew so much. 6 months in your time, Ravkun replied, but the Keth mature quickly when purpose drives us. And I had purpose, to be here when you woke, to thank you, to show you that your sacrifice was not in vain. Mira reached out with trembling hands and Ravkun leaned forward, allowing her to touch his face. His fur was soft beneath her fingers, and she could feel the steady rhythm of his breathing. I'm so glad you're alive, she whispered. Because of you, Ravkun said. The Keth have a saying, a life saved creates a bond that transcends death. You are packed now, Mira Solis, my pack, my family, and I will stand beside you as you stood beside me. Captain Reeves watched from the doorway, understanding finally dawning. This was why the Keth had allowed humans to remain on Kethra Prime despite the poaching incident. This was why they'd provided medical technology that had kept Mira alive when human medicine had reached its limits. The humans saved one of our young, Elder Thraka said, appearing beside the captain. And that young one refused to let the human go. He stood vigil. He demanded we share our healing methods. He reminded us that honor is not found only within one's own species. Will she be all right? Reeves asked. Thraka's expression was difficult to read, but there was warmth there. She woke for him. That's the kind of connection that heals more than bodies, Captain. Your species continues to surprise us. You are fragile, short-lived, and often reckless. But when you love, when you commit, you do so with your entire being. Perhaps that's your true strength. In the lounge, Mira and Ravkun sat together, speaking in quiet tones about the months that had passed and the future that lay ahead. And in that moment, two species understood each other perfectly, not through words or technology, but through the simple truth that some bonds transcend everything. Humanity, fuck yeah.